So, this is it. The penultimate Lexus LS. This is the latest version of a flagship sedan that basically changed the entire automotive world order. So sit back, relax, and let us tell you the story of the Lexus LS, the flagship that changed the luxury car world for good. I'm Randy Stern, along with George Torteline, and this is Victory in Reseda.
Randy, the 2025 Lexus LS.
The LS 500 S Sport with all-wheel drive.
A nice spec indeed.
Yes, it is. Perhaps this is the last time we're going to drive such a vehicle.
Unfortunately, yes. But I think the big question is, how do we get to this place where we're no longer going to have an LS?
Well, we have to go back in time. So let's take you back to the 1980s when you and I were wrapping up our high school. And at that time, people were making a ton of money. The upwardly mobile, they were attaining everything, including luxury cars. So the luxury car market blew up in the 1980s. People were trading in anything, really, for Mercedes-Benz, BMW, Audi, you name it. But the Japanese didn't have anything like that. Certainly there was, as I mentioned, the Germans and Europeans, and of course, Cadillac and Lincoln. But the Japanese had near luxury. You know, the Reseda was the best thing that really they can get, along with the Maxima. Now, Toyota saw opportunity in the American market, especially among the luxury car products. They think they can make a better luxury flagship sedan. Now, they could have easily imported the Century, but the Century was so limited in production and so limited of a client base that it wouldn't work here in America to maintain that exclusivity. So they decided, we're going to make our own world-class flagship sedan. Took them 6 years, thousands of engineers, designers, product planners, and a ton of yen to do this. Now, the car couldn't really be sold as a Toyota. So what they did was create an entirely new dealership channel, an entirely new brand, Lexus. So they showed off the concept at the North American International Auto Show in 1989. And by the fall, the first production units showed up at Lexus dealerships across the United States. It was known as the 1990 LS 400. And that car changed the entire luxury car business, period.
It turned it upside down for that segment because here comes this Japanese luxury car with Japanese reliability.
And an attention to quality as well as an attention to detail. And it was such a brilliant car. It was so brilliant. They outsold the Mercedes-Benz S-Class, the BMW 7 Series, anything that Audi, Jaguar, Cadillac, and Lincoln had to offer. Even though that Cadillac and Lincoln held their leadership in the luxury car segment into the early 1990s. This car changed everything. And Lexus as a brand changed the entire dealership experience. It used to be that not one Mercedes-Benz, BMW, or Audi dealer looked the same or felt the same. At the Lexus dealerships, every one of them were exactly the same, a little bit differential, but you were treated the same from the initial contact at the dealership all the way through to ownership experience. So after the first year of sale, Lexus won their first J.D. Power Customer Satisfaction Index Award and basically took that prize away from Acura.
Yeah, that's amazing that they were able to really just dominate.
They did more than just dominate. They've basically set the entire market on fire. They added more models, but the LS was the one you go to. The LS was the big attraction. Over the years, I mean, since 15 years I've been doing Victory in Reseda, we've had our share of LS models. The first one came in 2013. It was an LS 460 in white. It was beautiful. It drove just absolutely magnificently. It wafted. It felt comfortable. And that was followed up a couple years later with a 2015 LS 460. And then a new generation. And we're in one of the last of the new generation, actually. So it came out in 2018. I was able to get the LS 500, which is the same driveline that we're in right now. But there was something different about that LS. It became more dynamic, more athletic in style. They try to keep the same elements that you expect in an LS, but it was completely different. Now, they also came out with a hybrid. Now, they had the hybrid before, by the way, in a long wheelbase model. That was several years before. But in 2020, I ended up getting the hybrid system, which was basically a V6 and a series of electric motors and a couple of transmissions all put together in a very complicated driveline. And then we finally get to this car.
Which still feels modern, but there's still classic elements.
There's still some elements if you want to go all the way back. No, this does not have the V8. This is strictly a twin turbo V6, 3.4 liter, 416 horsepower. You have the 10-speed automatic transmission. All F Sports are all-wheel drive these days. It's just the dynamics of it is a little bit different. It doesn't feel as regal as, say, the last generation model or even the first one. So, but it's still an LS. The DNA is still there.
Yeah, absolutely. It really goes down the road in kind of a stately kind of fashion, doesn't it?
In its own way, yes. But we have to remember this is the S Sport. The S Sport adds a little bit more, let's say, of an assertive look to it with the mesh grille up front, the 20-inch dark finished alloy wheels, the addition of Sport S Plus on the drive modes, which changes the driving dynamics of this particular vehicle. Still, it feels like an LS. It drives like an LS. It drives like the flagship that you expect from Lexus, except it's sharper looking. Interior-wise, again, the S Sport theme continues. You have these bolstered seats with the two-tone black and white leather. You have white motifs along with the black motifs. You have other S Sport amenities that, of course, point to its sportiness, even though it's still a flagship sedan.
And you still have classic elements like the clock, the analog clock. You do have physical controls for your climate, which is coming back again, which I think is funny.
What's interesting is that these physical controls are found within the Lexus interface system and on bigger screens in other models. But in the LS, they made it very clear the demarcation between climate control physical buttons and the 12.3-inch infotainment touchscreen.
And that being a touchscreen is a relatively recent change, isn't it?
So what they did is that in older models, they had the screen recessed into this part of the dashboard, and you controlled it from a touchpad right here on the center console. So obviously with the new interface system, they were bringing screens closer to the driver. They also brought the clock along with it. So now you have a lot more control overall.
It would make sense to bring the screen closer so you can physically touch that.
Absolutely. And it's been something that we're finding on a lot of Lexus models in the last few years.
That is the trend. But the materials in here I think are very nice. All the leather and soft touch materials and metal. It's very nice.
It comes with an expectation. If you're going to buy a vehicle like this, especially for the money that they're asking for, you expect it to come with a higher level of materials, higher level of control, and a higher level of feel. And that is important when you shop for a flagship sedan.
And in this, you do have the adjustability of the seats where the bolsters, the width of the bolsters are adjustable at different points in the seat, whether in the seat bottom or along your shoulders. Even the headrests are power adjusted, forward and back and up and down.
Oh yeah, I love that. If you feel like you want to take this on a blast, hey, you lock yourself in, you're good to go.
But I was surprised to not see massaging seats or even heated seats in the back row.
Well, can't have everything.
Yeah, I think it might just be an age thing, but just looking at this category of vehicle, so with this going away now, with Audi A8 is also going away.
Mm-hmm.
Is it just a demand issue?
Well, it's a larger issue because everything has gone SUV. The expectations of luxury vehicles have shifted. As you could tell that some brands do not have any sedans, or they have sedans that are niche. Lexus still has sedans. They're committed to sedans.
And plus, with the price point, how many people want to buy a sedan at that price point when they can get a larger SUV?
Well, that's true. And of course, everybody's acquiesced to the SUV. And every one of the luxury brands have an SUV that has around the same price point, the same level of luxury and whatnot. But you're right, there's nothing better than a flagship sedan.
Which points to the future, I guess. What does the future look like for this?
Well, there's one more model year left on the Lexus LS, and it's going to be a 500 all-wheel drive called the Heritage Edition. The Heritage Edition is limited to 250 units in the United States. They're all going to be the same color, black, with a red leather interior, very well equipped, a little bit of identification, and after 250 units, that's it.
Just 250.
Just 250.
Wow. It was a good run.
Certainly was. Think about the history, is that how Lexus was born with this flagship sedan that basically shook up the entire luxury car business, even the entire automotive world order. Because back then, everybody was thinking Mercedes-Benz, BMW, that's instant gratification. This came along, changed all that, changed the trajectory for Toyota as well as for this Lexus brand. And the rest, of course, is history.
So in summary, Randy, what do we think of this 2025 LS going away?
I'm going to miss it. I've always appreciated the luxury and the drivability of this flagship sedan. And having it go away, I'm still processing it because, as you mentioned, this is not the only flagship sedan that's gone away. And there are brands that no longer offer a sedan in the United States. So clearly I'm going to miss the LS. Clearly I'm going to miss the car that really put Lexus on the map. And this is a fine example of what it is. I love this car. Maybe someday we'll get sedans again. Maybe someday we'll get flagship sedans again from other brands. But right now, if you got an LS, celebrate it. And if you're shopping for an LS, you better find one quick.
In our thermal imaging analysis of heated surfaces in the 2025 Lexus LS, we find the heating elements in the heated front seats offer very good overall coverage, starting from the upper back area, down to the lower back, across the seat bottom, and extending to under the knees. The side bolsters for the back and thighs also contain heating elements. The heated steering wheel offers good overall heating element coverage around its diameter and circumference. Outside, the side mirrors are heated, and the heating elements for the rear window defroster provide good overall coverage across the glass.
Our 2025 Lexus LS 500 S-Sport all-wheel drive test vehicle came with a sticker price of $94,980. However, the 2026 Lexus LS Heritage Edition will start from $99,280 with only 250 units available in the United States. So if you like what you watch, don't forget to click like, subscribe, and the notification bell to find out when our next video comes out. And don't forget to read our great articles at victoryandreseda.net. Also, we have a podcast. Hope you can listen to it soon. And don't forget, we got plenty of videos for you to watch. The next one might be right over here. Thanks for watching.